Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tim, and I am recording another video today to try to replace some of the lower quality videos I had from some of the other content. I went ahead and bought a new app, and the videos are of better quality, in my opinion. So let me know if you disagree. I'll be more than happy to reconsider if that's the case. But today I'm here to talk about gaps and the CME gaps in particular. You know what I'm talking about. I always bring them up Monday morning. There may not be a gap every Monday, but I always discuss them because it's an easy way to make a good trade when you start the week, and it's actually something that's actually quite reliable on the chart that you can depend on at least to some degree, and that's rare on a chart. You need to take advantage of gaps and stuff because gaps fill really quickly, and I'll show you an example of that. This gap right here, okay, it's a pretty decent sized gap. I mean, let's go ahead and just rough estimate. It was about 49,400 all the way to 50,400, let's say. So it's about $1,000. $1,000 gap. What? 49 to 50? Yeah. Okay, so about $1,000 gap. It's a decent sized gap. That means you have $1,000 swing and $1,000 possible move here to fill in that gap. And when I say fill in the gap, let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so you see this gap gets formed, okay, and it starts going over this way, okay. So I'm going to show you guys. If you want to make a straight line, click on this and hold shift and it'll make it straight. All right, so I'm going to move it up just a bit more. There's the start of your gap up here at the top of it. Now let's do the bottom. Guess what happened? This candle right here, the third candle after the gap formed, it filled the gap, which means it completely filled in this area where the gap was. That's what filling in a gap is. Usually a gap fills in after it forms, okay. I'm going to show you another example of that happening, and then I'm going to explain myself a little further after that. This is another gap right here. Even though these wicks intersect, that doesn't matter. It's the open and the close that matter. So what you have is a gap from about right here. I'm not being perfect here. I'm just roughing it. So please bear with me on that respect. Oh yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Let me hold control and double click and it makes a copy. And there's your gap right there, okay? So we have a gap from that candle to that candle. That's the gap because look, we have the weekend. February 19th came back February 21st. So the 2-day weekend we went up. That's a bearish gap because when you want to fill that gap, you got to come back down. And that's what happened. Look, we filled the gap within the next 8 hours or within the next 12 hours, I would say, because these are 4-hour candles. So within the next 12 hours, we filled the gap in completely. And no way, actually, we filled the gap in right here because the wick went down. So within 8 hours, I'd say that's more common than not. It's within the first 24 hours the gap gets filled. Now, Tim, what can I do with that information? Well, you can make a educated trade on that information alone, saying, I think we're going to drop to fill that gap. And we did drop. And you could have made a lot of money off of that drop. If you would have went into Tether up here, thinking, okay, we're going to drop to fill this gap. Even if you would have stopped here, I mean, you know what I mean? We went higher than that later on, or no, we haven't really yet. But still, like I said, if you have faith in Bitcoin, it's no big deal. Like I said, this gap right here got filled immediately after it got started. So if you would have went into Tether right here and rebought Bitcoin right here, you know, in a perfect world, you could make some educated trades like that. This would have been the start of all your money right here. Would have been this drop because any trader would have realized that gap is likely to fill, and that's what I did. I went into Tether thinking, okay, we're gonna have a drop, and I got lucky because that drop was pretty violent. I mean, we went all the way down to what's the low over here, 45. I mean, this is on the futures chart, so this is a little different, but still, that's quite a drop. You know what I mean? And that all started from this gap. You know what I mean? This was a bearish candle right here as well. But this gap right here is a bearish gap. So whenever it formed, Monday came around, bam, we dropped to fill it, and it just snowballed from there, you know. And that's the way those gaps do it, guys. They fill quickly after forming. Here's another one, I think, 16th. No, it's not. I don't know why there's a gap there, but it's filled. You can see that the gap is filled. I don't know why gaps form sometimes. Sometimes there is a reason. I just don't understand why it's there. You know what I mean? So look, y'all can see this little gap. I'm going to show you from here, and I'm going to put a control and then go up a little bit right here. There's a gap between here to here, but look, over here, this one wick is where we filled it. Okay, so whenever it intersected there, that filled the gap. The gap's gone. It's no longer with us. So it's no need to even pay attention to it anymore after that, because it's been filled. But there are gaps on the chart that haven't been filled yet, guys, and I want to show you a couple of them before I bail out of here. Alright, we have a gap here that still hasn't been filled, at least not to my knowledge. Let me see. Yeah, it hasn't been filled. This gap right here. So, I mean, this gap's been on the chart for weeks, months maybe. From here, that's about the width of the gap. It's only a few $100s. I can zoom in a little bit more, and then we can actually draw another line. But you guys can see that gap right there has not been filled, which means, hell, we may visit 38,300 again to fill that gap. And I know people will say, oh, we'll never go below 50K again. And you know what? Those people are probably joking, because I've heard that every bull run I've been a part of, and we always came back down below where they said, you know, and 38,000 still isn't that low, believe it or not. I know some people will see 38,000 and hyperventilate because they've been a part of Bitcoin when it's above almost at 60K for so long. 38K seems low, and they would consider it a failure if they saw it drop to those levels. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's at 38K, oh, it's over, it's going to zero. You know what? I was looking at Bitcoin when it was $3,200, and that's nothing. I know people that were looking at Bitcoin when it was 3,200 cents. You know what I mean? I'm talking $32. And my friend Ash, she was getting Bitcoin from a faucet back in the day, 5 Bitcoin every time. So like you would do it every 15 minutes, I think, and they would give you 5 free Bitcoin. So I mean, you literally could have hit that faucet up 5 times and been set for the rest of your life if you would have done it right, you know. And it's just one of those things that you got to play the edges the market gives you, guys. Look at this gap. Another gap that filled within days of forming. You have to do it at the close of the candle. You don't want to do it at the wick. The wick shows you how deep it went, but it's not the close, so the close is different. Alright, so look, this gap from this candle to that candle, it filled right a few candles afterwards. So if you could wake up early on a Monday morning and you can enter that trade, this is a downward gap. So on the weekend started here, it finished there. So that was a bullish gap. Look, we raised up from it. You could have made some decent money off of just trading these gaps alone, guys. And the way I look at it, why not start the week off with a bang? Why not start the week off with a positive trade and work your way up from there? You know what I mean? That makes you in a good mood. You wake up on Monday, you have that good trade, you get that good start to the week. Gaps are the way to do it, guys. Gaps are actually a lot more reliable than most other forms of trading, at least in my opinion. I mean, if you just traded gaps alone and you had a nice chunk of change to do it with, you could make a lot of money. Look at this gap right here. I'm talking about it starts right where I drew it, so I'm gonna take away the other gap. Hold on. Sorry, it's kind of, my computer's a little filled up. You guys could see the gap over here. I'm gonna make it a little wider too. See this gap? I can move this line a little down right there. Alright, so that gap right there, look how fast it filled. It formed and we were underneath it. That's where the day started. We came up, filled the gap, and we came back down again. But that's how those gaps work, guys. They fill very quickly and they are reliable. You know what I mean? And hey, in a world of trading, anything that's reliable like that, you got to take advantage of it. Look how fast that gap filled. This gap right here filled less than 12 hours afterwards. So that shows you guys, look, this is a gap too, right here. But look, it filled a few days afterwards. I'd say 98% of gaps fill within the week. 95% fill within a day. So if you think about it that way, guys, how often do you have odds like that in trading? Look at this gap. That's a good gap right there. That was from the weekend started down here. We were at 29,200, and when the weekend was over, we were at 33,000. So it was like 33,000 to 29. That's $4,000 gap. I'm just thinking, give or take. Don't worry about it if it's that close. But look how fast we filled it. I mean, you could have made a lot of money simply trading this one gap to start the week. You could have bought a new car. You know what I mean? If you would have done it right. So I'm just trying to show you guys how important it is. Look at this gap. Yet to fill, I think. I don't think that gap's filled yet, guys. See, that's where I wanted to show you guys. Is how these gaps. Look at all these gaps. That gap hasn't filled. That gap hasn't filled. This gap hasn't filled. Yep, all those gaps are still open. So hey, I mean, I've seen old gaps get filled before, guys. So we need to be on the lookout. We very well could be heading for 24K. That's what I was just at. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna say that's where we're going. I'm just saying there's gaps there. There's gaps at 3,500. So, if you're gonna put some stank on it, put some stank on that $3,500 gap. So, if you think we're going down $3,500, there's still a gap there, guys. So, I mean, like I said, these gaps are reliable, but I don't know about the $3,500 gap is like 2 years old. So put some stank on that too. Think about it. How old does the gap have to be before it's disregarded as scrap gap? You know what I mean? I guess we have to. It's up to us, you know. CME hasn't been around that long for Bitcoin, so I think we're kind of learning as we go and applying the rules that other trading platforms use. You know what I mean, like the stocks and stuff like that with these gaps. But the gaps aren't on a regular chart. You have to go to the CME chart, which closes on the weekend, and that's why there's gaps. And the gaps are somehow, they work really well. That's why I've been trading them for months and months and months. And every time I trade them, I have much more luck than bad times. I have made a few trades where I'm like, dang it, the gap didn't fill. Or maybe I didn't set my stop loss right, or I didn't set the trade up right, and it didn't work. Or maybe I went too high and I shouldn't have gone that high. You know what I mean? It's just some stupid I did, but you learn to adjust as you go. And sometimes you got to get burned to learn. And I know it sounds cliche with that rhyme, but it's true, guys. Whenever you learn after you get burned, that's when you start to earn. I know I'm going to sit there and sound like I'm rhyming again, but the burn part is essential, guys, because once you get that lesson, where I remember I lost like $300 when I sent Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin wallet. I never got it back, and man, it really burned me up. And you know what? I never did it again, ever. The other morning, I sent $1,000 worth of Nano from my Crypto.com wallet to my Bitcoin wallet. And, man, I was about to just send it like that. You know what I mean? I'm so used to doing stuff like that now that I'm like, okay, I'm good at it. I can do it now. But something stopped me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do a test send first because Nano doesn't cost that much to send. And, you know, what's the worst that could happen? You know, I'm going to lose. I don't want to lose all that $1,000 if I send it wrong because there's a memo line and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure it was right, okay? So I grabbed the minimum amount, which was like $80 worth, and I sent that, and it freaking froze, man. It was in the fucking chain for like, it was in process for like 30 minutes, and I started freaking because I was like, man, dude, if I would have sent that $1,000, I don't know why it took so long. Nano usually is instant almost, you know, and that's why I use it from time to time. I'll change I get paid in Crypto.com tokens, so I'll change that into Nano and send the Nano to Coinbase, and then I'll cash out some of it to pay bills or whatever. That's what I have to do with some of that side gig money. I love holding Bitcoin. I love holding coins, don't get me wrong, but I get paid in them too, so it's like a crypto economy, and I feel like I'm obligated to hold coins, but I'm also obligated to use them because that's what they're really... A lot of them were made for, you know, and I do like being a part of that, you know, and Plus, I need the money. You know, I can't hold on to every crypto coin I get as much as I'd love to. I mean, I know people are gonna be like, Tim, if you wouldn't have cashed that Bitcoin out a year ago, you know what? If ends or whats were candy and butts, we all have a Merry Christmas. I don't know if that's the way you're supposed to say it, but you know what I mean. It's just like, man, I can't look at the past. I had to pay bills. That's the way this crypto economy is going to work. People are going to spend it. People are going to save. People are going to earn. People are going to do this. People are going to do that. And you know what? People buy Bitcoin or pay 10,000 Bitcoin pizzas. You know what I mean? It just, the guy can't look back at it and hate himself. You know what I mean? He could have, chances are he probably wouldn't have had that Bitcoin anyways with the way he was very flagrant with it. Most people were back then. I know people threw away hard drives full of them, you know, and it was back whenever people thought Bitcoin was like Pi currency today. You know, that one that everybody's like, that's a scam. And I remember reading that Wikipedia deleted the Bitcoin Wikipedia page 10 years ago because they said it was a scam. And now they accept Bitcoin as a payment option and for donations. So that shows you how much things have changed, you know what I mean? And not, a lot of times I'm hesitant to tell people something's a scam, but a lot of times I think people are like, the Pi currency is really trying to ride on Bitcoin's coattails and talk about mining and stuff. It's not really mining anything, you know, but anyways, we won't get all into that. But look, these gaps fill quick, guys. That's what the moral of the story is. If you can learn to trade those gaps properly, you can make a lot of money off of them, and that's a great way to start your week off. That's what I like to say to people, you know what I mean? Don't you want to start your week off with a good trade, you know? That's the way I look at it. Wake up. If I know that there's probably going to be a gap after the close, I'll try to set up something that helps me benefit from that. And like I said, maybe I'll make a video that focuses more on how to benefit from a gap and how to trade them. But I'm just showing you how fast they fill in this video and what it's all about, you know what I mean? And if you want to find the gaps, look at this up here. This is what you need to type into the thing, BTC 1 exclamation point. So once you type that, it'll bring you to the futures market here, and it'll show you the same chart I have here, and you can find the gaps yourself. I usually look at the 4-hour chart, but like I said, it's your world, do what you want. I think the 4 hour is the best one to look at. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. This is just a story about how to spot gaps and how to benefit from them. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section, and I look forward to the next video, guys.